But Johnny Sands, just let's come to us on any given camera, because this isn't working. Hello, typical night. You're watching dvtv Live. It's the 14th of December, 2017. My name is Rich.
I'm Jeannie.
This is Jean, and this is
Melissa.
Melissa. We're all here to wrap up the year in dvtv, and we're doing it without clips. How are we going to do that?
What happened to the clips?
I have no idea. The Mac just like went silent. It was working 10 minutes ago, but now it went silent.
Yeah, because you were like, we have 4 clips.
Welcome to, not anymore, we don't.
Not anymore.
Welcome to public access television. But we know what we want to talk about. We want to talk about the tax scam bill. We want to talk about Roy Moore's loss and what it might mean for Trump. Yeah, kiss him goodbye. Well, let's start with Roy Moore. First of all, I didn't think he was going to, I thought he was going to win. I thought,
you really thought the people of Alabama
are
that stupid?
I had given up. I'm going to be, ooh.
Oh, well, that works. Hey, well, save that clip because we're going to need it in a little while.
Very exciting 2 seconds of xylophone.
Yes, yeah. Okay,
so. I had also given up. It's not necessarily, I mean, it's not that I don't believe in the people of Alabama or that I don't want to believe in them. It's just that they had already let it got this far. You know what I mean? Like the fact that he had already won up to this point, the fact that it was so close, the fact that he had a lead.
He won the primary too.
Yeah. So it's
even with Trump supporting the other guy, Luther Strange, he won the primary.
Yeah, that means people were just like, actually, no. Like, they're going out of their way for their own, not for Trump, who a lot of them voted for.
Right.
They were just like, no, like, specifically this guy, the pedophile.
And to be fair, that those charges weren't made public until after he was the candidate. So the people, didn't really know en masse throughout the state.
They knew. They knew. This was the biggest story in the nation. Never mind.
No, before the primary, there was no sexual harassment.
It was known.
Stores.
Like, you know, he had a
inner
history.
circle.
In the inner circle, in the community, like, you know, at the mall that he was banned at, you know, in the community, you know, people knew about it, but I don't think that they knew about it like on a national scale.
Exactly.
Enough
or even on a state scale.
Yeah. Enough people knew about it that New York Magazine, some reporters picked up the scent. They said, let's check out to see how real these rumors are, because they're pretty bad. And guess what? They found 30 different people to corroborate the story, including an ex-cop who used to patrol the mall.
Yeah.
He said he was well aware of this.
Including like one of the women that used to work under him. They said she was like worked under the assistant attorney general, that's what he was at the state, and she said you just didn't question a man like that back in those days, and this is the 70s. So what do you?
Yeah, I mean he was the assistant AG of the state. Yeah. So small wonder that none of these young girls said anything at the time. As I said last week, one of the ladies who was 14, she didn't tell her mother for 10 years. For 10 years she kept it. She kept it within herself. So all right. So is this the beginning of a trend? I would like to think Virginia, a Democrat, won. Yeah. I almost said Mississippi again. Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah, you said Mississippi earlier, and I'm like,
it's all a blur.
Do you remember I looked at you like, what?
Dixie is a big blur. Alabama went Democratic. Is it the beginning of a trend? We can hope so. Maybe. We have to remember that
unfortunately,
this was like a real nightmare of a candidate.
But you got to realize that he's got to be like Clinton post '94. He's got to play nice with those type of people if he wants to be reelected, because Alabama's that kind of state.
Oh, you mean
Roy Moore's done.
I mean, I'm talking about Doug Jones. Yeah, Doug Jones has to play like Clinton did in '94 with Gingrich.
The thing is, it was close enough, and black women, bless them, either a 97 or 98% majority of black women.
And I'm glad all of them came out to vote.
Yeah, not that white men were still, a lot of them went for Roy Moore.
What's the percentage?
No, I don't have it on my fingertips. I'm sorry. We'll have to look that up after the show. But I do remember it was like something like 75% of black men, but 97 or 98% of black women, depending on which poll you look at. So
which statistically means that there was just like approximately just 5 very confused black women just be like, you know what? I'm still gonna do it.
He's still gonna do it.
No, you know what they probably did? They probably wrote in someone else.
Maybe.
Let's hope on that.
and that may have been a factor, because a lot of people, the senior senator from Alabama, said, I am not going to vote for Roy Moore. I'm not going to vote for a Democrat. I will write in somebody else's name. So there were a significant amount, it wasn't
like
a big percentage.
1.7% of write-ins.
Yes, a significant amount. So that might have thrown the election to Doug Jones.
A little bit, yeah.
So can we extrapolate, can we judge anything from this one election, or maybe from Virginia?
You know what's interesting about this in general? It was a very high voter turnout.
Yeah.
Like there was a very high, in a special election, nobody shows up.
Right.
You got like 30,000 people show up maybe, and that's in a populated state or
that's
a populated
real good
area.
point.
Yeah.
So yes, it was a
unusual in the case like that
great
it made
turnout.
such national headlines. It's very rare.
Right. So we can only hope. Now, resignations from members of Congress. Well, we've seen Franken, Conyers, Trey Franks, or was it Trent Franks?
Conyers is retiring.
Yes, Trent Franks.
He's retiring.
Retiring from a long and fruitful career grabbing women when they didn't ask for it.
Yes,
85.
and so is Blake Farenthold. He announced he won't run for re-election.
Which one is the one that asked his employee if you can impregnate them?
That was Trent Franks.
That was wild.
Yeah, and
I don't know. I would just say no and shake my head and be like, "That's
but
weird."
imagine,
That's such a weird thing to want. Like, there's I would never. You could not possibly conceivably defend sexual assault, but like, why would you want someone to just have your kid?
It's inappropriate
so
on the
weird.
surface, even if he had arranged a clinical thing with, like, insemination or anything. But no, it's doubly inappropriate because he wanted to fuck them. You know, basically,
He really said that?
No, but he said he didn't. He said I don't know what the words were, but he did not want to arrange for them to go to a clinic to get impregnated with his seed. He wanted to fuck them. So imagine, you've been working hard through school, high school, you get good grades, you get accepted to a good college, you get through college, you work your ass off, you get a degree, you land this star job in this congressman's office. It's like, my career in Washington has started. And then the guy comes over and says, will you have my baby?
Call your friend at the Brookings Institute?
That is what these young ladies went through. It's like you're not here because you got a good degree or anything. You're here because I might want to fuck you.
You know, it's a really
and that's what it comes down to.
It's just a tragic reality for a lot of women who are working women who, you know, in any form of career, really in most and many forms of career where power structures are typically held by men. It's just such a sad state that we've all had to live through. You know, I myself have experienced things that have made me uncomfortable, or where people have harassed me or tried to use powers or positions above me. I have, you know, most of the women that I've worked with and people that I know have, and when I talk to even, you know, older women who have been in the workforce for longer, their stories are oftentimes getting worse because there's even less of a culture people carry. You know, it's insane to me to think that in 2017 that just the basic idea of like, let's not elect people who like molest little girls is still like just like, well, hold on a minute, like I gotta really think about this one.
Like, it should be an easy. And so do you think, Melissa, let me ask you, do you think that we have, is it a generational thing that we're turning the corner on this? Will everything be different as of 2 months ago when they came down on Harvey Fierstein? Is this the beginning?
Harvey Weinstein.
Right, yeah. Andy told me that people were like going up to Harvey Fierstein and yelling at him. Like, I'm not the guy. But anyway, has a corner been turned since the Harvey Weinstein thing broke, and now we've had members of Congress resign. We've had the two top people in morning news out of there, Travis Smiley. So we've had a whole bunch of high-profile things. Is this the beginning of a trend, and is this going to change things for good?
I think that it is the beginning of a trend, but I do not think that this is ever a problem that will ever really, truly go away. I think that as long as there are people, this is going to be a problem. I think that what we can see is the fighting against the prevalence of this problem. I think that as we create a culture that is more inclined to punish this behavior, to not let it go, to recognize it more sharply, to call it out, to be more on the offensive about it, I think we can expect to see that happening less. But I still think people will always do it just because, you know, there's any number of ancient crimes, biblical crimes that you can think of, where it's like, you know, you could say like, don't do this. You know, murder is illegal, people still do it. It's not, you'll never see this problem entirely go away. But I do think that
I guess maybe
we'll
the
see
question
it.
I'm trying to ask is the acceptance. It's been around forever because it's been accepted and
normalized.
It's been normalized, yes. So is it now not normalized? Hope so. And you know, at least in politics, it draws a spotlight to itself in entertainment.
Yeah.
I don't know about the rest of the world, the rest of the business world, the rest of the working world.
But like,
I hope so.
Even in business or when you work in Washington, and when you're a woman, you live by yourself, there's certain things you just like have to take precaution to. If someone's like 20 years, 30 years older and they want to go out to dinner or have a drink after a certain hour, you just have to politely decline. You shouldn't get into cars with them. You know what I mean? It's just certain things. If you're having a drink with a male colleague, you know, always make sure you don't leave your alcoholic drink unattended. Like, these are things I have to think about.
Yeah.
Many women have to think about. Do not get into a car with someone that you got a new job with. Do not get into his car. You know what I mean? If you're hanging out late and have a couple drinks, take an Uber home. And it's like, these are just things that now that I'm thinking, oh, this is what I have to do. Yeah, to protect myself, you know?
But it's messed up that we have to do that in the first place, you know? That culture that just allows it for us to be normal. Like a guy goes out, he's just like, oh, I'm just gonna go out, go to hang out with my friends, the end. We go out and we have to keep all of this in mind as
I do that in the city every day.
Me too. We all do. Every single one of us has to take precautions. We're walking down the street. Always have to be watching our back, watching our shadow. We got keys in our hands.
Watching how much you party. You don't want to have beyond a certain amount of drinks because you want to be able to defend yourself and everything.
Yeah. It's a horrifying culture to have to deal with. But to answer your question, I think that the rate at which it will happen has to do, again, with the number of women working in the field at that time. Because I think that industries like entertainment, you know, or certain other specific industries that have more women in it will see more of a prevalence of this behavior being tapped down over time. Whereas other fields such as, like, you know,
medical field, nursing,
a medical field, or like tech
teaching,
or something where there aren't quite as many women in it, like, you know, proportionately, I think that rate of progress will be slower. But I still think overall culturally we are slowly getting to that point where we're going to see, I think, a more noticeable shift moving in that direction where we're paying more attention to it and we're calling it out further.
Right. You are watching DVTV Live. We're live on the 14th of December, 2017. My name is Rich. This is Melissa. This is Jean. And we are taking your phone calls at 212-757-1393. Call us up right now, 212-757-1393. The big question.
What?
When is this all going to catch up to President Puss Grab?
I hope
barely get it out of my mouth.
Very soon.
Puss Grab.
Yeah.
Very, very soon.
I mean, a lot of people were asking, well, why did Franken have to resign? A lot of people like Franken, but if you're going to call out people across the board for doing certain things, you have to go by the same standards. Franken resigned for the same. Franken is accused of the same things that Trump is.
And he is this picture wasn't very good.
That was
a pretty damning picture.
He was asleep on a military plane, too.
And he's like, you know what I mean?
And maybe, possibly, maybe there's a slim chance he might have gotten away with it if he knew the person better, but they didn't really have a relationship.
It was only USO thing.
He waited until she was asleep and then did this, you know. That's totally unacceptable. So yes,
or at
least
just like, even if you're gonna, because if you don't know that chick that well, it's like, all right, again, not to excuse shitty behavior, but it's just like, if that was like a friend of yours that you knew, like it could be like maybe more of like an inside joke depending on how well you know each other, or how comfortable you are with each other, or like,
and two people who know each other
just don't share it. Like, why did you put it on the internet where everyone could see it? It's like, oh, this is really funny sexual assault I'm technically committing and providing evidence freely of, like, man, you don't have to do that.
But you know what?
Long before he was considering a Senate run.
Yeah, I don't think he was considering a Senate run.
Which is Trump's excuse but we'll get that.
Yeah, but he was like he was a political satirist, like, you know.
Yeah.
Rush Limbaugh is a big fat idiot. Great book.
But, you know, where's the political satire and grabbing an unconscious?
That's true. I mean, I was just saying he was an author.
Now, as the shifting scape of the, I think I heard Miss Huckabee Sanders yesterday state that, when asked the same question that I just put forth about Trump, she said, well, those crimes, that was committed before he ran for president. So that's kind of a shift. Originally they said, no, he said they're all lying, I never met any of these women, and I'm going to sue them all. Now he's officially gone to, well, it didn't happen when I was running for president. So it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, that's not how the law works, man.
That's not how the law works.
I'm so
you know
sorry.
what?
Statute of limitations, we've spoken about this.
Oh, on the Lolita Express, yeah, there's a statute of limitations. Is it done on that?
That happened, well, that happened on the Lolita Express, and what I'm talking about, just Google Lolita Express and look at the people like Prince Harry and Bill Clinton and Trump, who rode the Lolita Express very often. That may have happened over international waters, but it's still a crime, and it's especially a crime if you're transporting a minor into any state,
it is
any
13?
part of the United
I feel like I'm going to
States.
really regret asking this question, but what is the Lolita Express?
A guy named Jeffrey Epstein, a billionaire like Trump, Trump's buddy, he had a plane full of underage girls that he would fly in from other countries for parties for his rich friends. Some of his rich friends besides Trump were Prince Harry and Bill Clinton and a few other celebrities that I can't offhand remember. You Google it, it all comes up. I think I may be one of the only people on television talking about this, and I think the reason may be that there's other powerful people involved. The Prince, is he the Prince of Wales? I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of like
the heir to the British throne and
but he's getting married now. He's getting married to an African-American woman from America.
She's
it's a divorcee. She's a divorcee also. So it's progressed.
That caused his great-grandfather to advocate.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was. I don't know if George was his great-grandfather.
But what I'm saying is that
major scandal 80 years ago.
Exactly.
But he was a Nazi anyway.
It's just kind of crazy because I don't think they made that much attention. Is because Trump and Clinton will both be in jail if you know if.
I mean, fuck them. Just put them all in jail.
Put
like
them all
you
in jail,
all broke the law. Fuck
this
all
is again underage girls, and one of the
tired.
And they often speak. We showed a graphic last week of Trump's the 19 women that are accusing him. There is a 20th. She alleges that she was raped at 13. She did not come forward and give her name. She was represented by a lawyer, and she dropped the lawsuit, or the lawyer dropped the lawsuit, 4 days after the election. She said, or the lawyer said, because of threats to her and her family.
But I thought she was anonymous.
She is anonymous, but somebody knows. Yeah, they know who it is, So, and if it happened, Trump might well know who it is, and it's not that hard to find out who was on a plane.
It could have been like a prospective.
Who stayed at Mar-a-Lago?
No, it could have been a prospective girl for Trump. Was that modeling agency?
It could have been.
That's my guess.
It doesn't matter who it was. If he did the dirty deed with that little girl, he should be thrown in a very dark, dank cell for the rest of his life. But we'll see if that happens. We'll see if that happens. I would like any charge to come down upon Trump right now, and there are a variety of things: obstruction of justice, treason, and sexual harassment, all of which are illegal. And well, he's above the law, or so they say. You
know, it's really funny now that this whole investigation into like Mueller and the whole committee and everything, they're investigating Mueller's administration to see if they're even coherent enough to further do an investigation for a year. Rod Rosenstein actually had to go before a Senate committee yesterday.
The Republicans are, what do they say, what do they call it when they throw out stuff from a plane to like, so missiles don't find them. They throw out a bunch of metal shards so the missile can't find the plane. That's what they're doing.
And even Rod Rosenstein said there's no good cause to fire Mueller at this time.
No, they're throwing anything at this investigation they can to slow it down or to get public confidence lower.
But it has to do with like the staffers like sending like nasty text messages.
FBI agents do have political, they do vote, they do have political points of view. And we think they're professional enough so that they don't let their, you know, everybody, every prosecutor, every cop, every judge in the country has some political views.
Yeah, exactly.
And they don't take an oath, I will not have any more political views, I will not watch the news, they don't take that oath because it's impossible. So as an FBI professional agent, you are expected, and I'm sure most of the agents do, separate what their personal political feelings are and what their duty is to the criminal law system. So to say, you know, that's an insult to the FBI and the FBI agents. Yeah, and that's what Trump has been doing since, you know, he believes Putin over his 17.
Oh my God! Did you see some of the clips of the translation of the 3.5-hour like fireside chat that Putin did for all of Russia?
Did they give a translation? They probably did a release.
Parts of it, he was just kind of like praising Trump over and over and over again.
Well, that's why they made it public. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so funny. I think there was one reporter that asked him a question, and then she got poisoned or had her throat slashed at one point.
Yeah, well, that's what Putin does, and that's what Trump and his cronies would like to do, metaphorically or literally, to the press. They admire what
Fox
Putin
does. Yeah,
they admire what Putin is able to do. They, you know, a journalist says something, they poison him, they kill him, or they throw him in jail.
If that happened in America, that would be a big problem.
But Trump, the president of the United States, has advocated for the jailing of journalists that he does not agree with. And if he knew about us, he'd probably throw us in that category too. Yeah. Yeah.
That's for you, buddy.
That was actually the first thing I did after the election. I purposely walked past Trump Tower just to fly. I knew he wasn't there, but just to fly my finger in the wall and make that, in the wind, and make that statement.
You know what's amazing? All of Trump's businesses are just losing money left and right. Good. Like Trump, Soho, I think, is closing down.
Oh yeah,
or they
and
have
it was
no
never
money.
in Soho anyway. Well, you know, that's the mysterious thing. There's all this funny business going on with his money. It can't be for any of his brands because his brands aren't tanking. Or his brands are all tanking.
Yeah, it's all for his ego.
It's all for his ego, but no. But all the connections to Russia, all the funny business, all the Russians and meetings and everything. There has to be some kind of under the table, funny money deal going on.
It's probably all in Bitcoin.
It might be all in Bitcoin.
I'm not even joking.
Yeah,
it's cryptocurrency, I'm pretty sure. It's undetectable, yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised a bit because the Russians are very big at that. And also mining Bitcoins, which I don't know how to do.
I think they've all been mined.
They've all been
21
mined,
million, yeah.
Now I'm not sorry I didn't buy Bitcoin back in the day.
Dude, I almost got a job that they said they were going to pay me in Bitcoin. It sounded like Monopoly money, so I didn't take it. It sounded
like a scam, yeah. But it might have paid off.
Whoops.
Well, there are people who are very wealthy now because of Bitcoin.
There's a guy in Wales, probably mentioned this on the air before, he goes from landfill to landfill looking for his old PC because in the early days he bought a bunch of Bitcoins, forgot about them, threw the computer out, and years later he discovers that's 9 million pounds worth of Bitcoin that are on my hard drive. And he goes sadly from landfill to landfill looking for his old computer. And the 9 million pounds.
Wow.
That's kind of poetic.
It almost is, yeah. It almost is, yeah.
Wow.
So we've also got this tax bill which may or may not happen. They're rushing the vote before
Christmas.
Before Doug Jones can get seated.
But there's a lot of other factors. There's also the
tons of factors. Yeah.
Marco Rubio.
Marco Rubio.
He doesn't get his child tax credit. He's not voting for it. And number two, unfortunately, McCain's kind of in the hospital.
McCain's in the hospital, so he can't vote by mail. You mentioned there's rumors about Susan Collins possibly switching parties. I don't know if that's going to happen, but if she does switch parties, this is part of the reason: the health care bill and the tax bill. And this is this may be a big. It's going to be some kind of an influence on the 2018 elections, which are still almost a year away.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is probably going to go all liberal because everyone's engaged now because you know, a lot of
not
people.
Not all liberal. You know, it's not. It's a big country out there.
Yeah, people did vote for Trump.
And people did vote for Trump. And
that demographic
you know,
does exist.
He doesn't, you know, and there's enough of them. It's not that, like, there wasn't a majority of people voted for Trump. There was enough in right places to tip
in certain counties,
Yeah, in certain counties. And that's all it needs, enough people. There were enough black women that came forward in Alabama to vote against Roy Moore. It's always enough. So that's why voting is important. I've pissed on it in the past. But I regret saying that because, you know, votes do get important. I mean, look at, you know, Gore would have been our president had it been for not for a couple of hundred votes and a Supreme Court ruling, which it came down to. I wish the voting system was more secure, but that's the thing. And also, net neutrality died today. We're all wondering what it means. It
hasn't entirely died yet. Right. It still has to go through.
Has to go through a lot of courts. You said 16 attorney generals from different states are banding together.
Schneiderman from New York is suing. I don't know if he's the first to sue because
he's doing a. I think multiple states are banding together to sue.
I think 16 AGs or attorneys general came together.
When you have that many, that's going to be Supreme Court worthy right away.
Yes. So
when you get that many from every single circuit,
that'll be blocked. The reason why they want to kill net neutrality is, see, the internet has been around for a while. We've known about it, and yeah, the government, old guys in government, they've known about it too, but they kind of considered it like a fad, like television in the early days. They weren't sure, you know, they weren't sure what it was, how powerful it was, how to use it, or whether it was going to be a factor in the future or just a fad, like the Rubik's Cube. Last year, they found out. Trump got elected. Majority of Republicans in Congress, hey, the internet means something. And a few fake news stories and a few bots generating Twitter hits or whatever can really swing an election.
Well,
they're taking it very seriously because now they're afraid of what American citizens might do with the internet after ignoring what Russians did to the internet. So that's why net neutrality is in danger right now. And we got about 30 seconds, so say what you want.
Oh, I was just going to say that Portugal has that, and they charge different packages for Snapchat,
I've seen
Netflix.
that,
yeah,
and if you see something on your Twitter feed with different pricing structures, yeah, that's from...
That's going to be...
We'll see. It's not going to happen overnight, but we have 15 seconds, so I want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank our special guest, Melissa. I want to thank Gene. And next week, if you tune in at 10:30, you may see a work in progress of a dvtv band night we're doing. Until then, good night, good news.